We're live, and James Mucky, I think Mucky, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But as we get going, it's good to know. I always like to ask this question: where are you all coming in from right now in the world? I'm sure everyone's coming in globally. So type it in the chat where you're coming from right now. And we're going to wait like another minute or two before we get started. And as we wait, I'll kind of give you guys, I'll set the tone for the agenda. So the agenda that we're going to have here today is some of you might have seen some of my other webinars where I like to talk about this new business operating system, this new marketing operating system that I'm continuing to build out. And so I'm going to give you a refresher on that in case some of you haven't seen that. So I'm going to go through some slides that I have. Then I'm going to walk through a couple of screen shares, walking you through how I'm using this stuff right now. And I'm a non-technical guy, and how you can go about doing it too. And I think I want to leave a lot of time today for Q&A too. And my objective with today's webinar here is for you to be able to share this with your team. Because even today, like right after this, I'm going to be talking with CEO of a company, of a tool that I'm going to be showing. And then right after that, I'm going to be talking to a product manager from Descript, which is more or less an AI company. And they want to talk about the stuff that I'm talking about with you today. So Dorian's always at every webinar, so I appreciate it. Dorian's from Austin, James, Virginia, Kira, Oregon, Blaine, upstate New York, Chris, Columbus, really all over the place. Nikhil, India, that's great. Will we get a recording? Maya, will we get a recording? Maya can type in the chat if we're getting a recording. That's a thumbs up. So you will get a recording here. And before we get started too, Maya actually has a poll that we're going to throw. I'm just keen to know for you all right now, how much are you spending roughly on marketing per month? So go ahead and answer that. It's good for me to understand what kind of audience that we're talking to, so then that might tailor the way that I talk. So go ahead and answer that poll, and Maya, you let me know when we're good to close out that poll, because I actually can't see the results. And we'll leave, I don't know, maybe another 10 seconds or so for the poll. 10, 9, 8. And while we wait, by the way, those of you in chat that have heard me talk about these MCPs, Cursor, Claude Code, just type 1 into the chat if you've actually heard me talk about it, because then I can get a sense of where we are. So that's that. So Dorian for sure has seen it. Anybody else? We got Jim coming in from London. Okay, Tom coming in as well. And most of you, okay, that's cool that we can see the poll live. Monthly spend. So 7% of you are 20 to 50K, and then 29% of you are 3 to 10,000, and then a majority of you are less than 3,000. So that's interesting to know. Okay, cool. So a handful of you have heard me talk about this. I'm going to do a quick refresher here, and as we go through this, feel free to ask questions. We have a Q&A section. You can also ask in chat as well, and then Maya will try to resurface these as I come back to it. So I'm going to jump into the introduction / refresher for some of you right now on how this works. And the whole premise of this is I talk about becoming, not even 10x, not even 100x, but maybe 200x. And I think it's going to get bigger and bigger. And I want you guys to be able to, I want to able to program you into this new way of thinking, because to me, it's exciting. And it's probably scary to people if you don't understand this stuff. So you're better off understanding this stuff than not, right? So this is a little different than my typical marketing type of webinars, and hence the smaller TAM with this audience. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to share this window, and then I'm going to go full screen. And again, you guys can drop your questions in as I go. And then I'm eventually going to switch over into showing you some of these tools. But maybe let me just start off over here. So, and then Maya, you let me know if there's any issues, because now I can no longer see you, or I can't see the chat anymore. So I like to look at this as the future of not just marketing, but the future of business is going to be multi-instance. And some of you have seen this slide already. So this is more of a refresher / introductions for those of you that are new. So this guy over here is an online poker player, and I used to play a lot of online poker. And when I used to play, you can see there's different tables here. So when you're playing poker in real life, you actually only have one table that you can play with. You gotta wait for the hand to end. You gotta wait for the dealer to shuffle. Blah blah blah. Online, there's no dealer shuffle, and you can play as many tables as you want, right? So I remember I would play 16 tables at once. This guy clearly has more than 16 tables available. I've seen people play up to 48 tables, and I think the future of business and marketing is we're going to be able to spin up different sub agents or different, I look at them as different employees within minutes. And I'm going to show you how I do that live, because I haven't really done that in the past. I'm kind of just showing you guys slides. And so that's that. It's going to be multi-instance. It's going to be fun. Okay. And this is the stack that I use right now. And it might be a little daunting to you for me to say this, but when I say I use Claude Code, it's like, oh crap, this Eric knows how to code. I don't know how to code. Nope, don't know how to code. Okay, so that's number one. Two, oh my God, Eric uses Cursor. There's like different tools like Windsurf, and then there's all these, there's OpenAI's Codex, and these are all different IDEs, or I just call them code editors. Yeah, don't know how to code, so don't really use it for that purpose. Okay, so that's another good thing, right? And then we leverage MCPs, which were created by Anthropic and model context protocols, and I look at them as almost no different than APIs, little similar to APIs, but you're just having different apps talk to each other. And so when you have this stack up here, that allows you to start to build in these, you can talk to Claude Code and say, I want to have a sub agent that can do this. I'm going to show you some that I'm using in person. I wanted to call on different tools and then combine with, look at my analytics and then combine with this tool over here to give me a unique insight that would have taken me days or weeks to get done in the past. You can now do that. Okay. And then beyond, just under this stack over here, you can hook in with various MCPs. And these aren't all the MCPs in the world. There's a ton of different MCPs. But for example, the CRM that I use, where we have our sales data and things like that, is HubSpot. So we can see how deals have progressed. How many new deals do we create in the last week or the last month? How has that trended over the month prior to that? So instead of having to go around into HubSpot and click around, I don't need to do that anymore. I can just call on this. And I can call on Google Analytics to see how that's trending versus our deals, right? And then I can get unique sales insights. And then I can combine it with Gong, which is our sales intelligence tool. So we have this recorder that's sitting in all of our calls. And in that call, or in these calls, then they can combine data and say, hey, based on all the trends that I'm seeing with your sales calls right now, based on how your HubSpot deals are trending, based on how your traffic is trending, here's what I would recommend doing. Here's how I think you should price. And I'm actually going to show you some of the insights that came up with this week. And when I showed it to my team, they're like, oh, wow, right? But it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be in 6 to 12 months. If it's still, oh, wow, like that, that means I haven't done a good job of training my team up to this. And my team also, that means my team hasn't done a good job of getting up to date, right? So on one end, if you're a leader of your company or inside of your company, your job is to make sure that you're surfacing this to your team. And what you can do is you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Okay. So that's your job. That's one half of your job. Bring them to water, make them aware of this, share this recording with as many people as possible, just so they start to understand the implications of this. Because again, if you can multiply yourself, 10 times, 100 times, 200 times, how much more leverage are you going to gain? Let's say you're an employee in a company right now and you learn how to do this. I would be an idiot. Okay. I'll just put it to you this way. I would be an idiot if you know how to do all this stuff and I don't pay you more and I don't try to compensate you better. It would be in my very best interest to do that, because you have multiplied yourself 100 to 200 times. Not only that, if you're teaching your team on how to do this, okay, let's say you work for a company, you deserve to be paid more. Just full stop. It would be stupid for your boss. And by the way, if your boss is stupid enough not to do that, you just tell me, and then I can, at the very least, maybe I'll help you find something, or maybe you can join us, right? I don't know. Like we're hiring pretty aggressively right now, but our standards are getting a lot higher. But I digress. So I'm going to call it some of these other MCPs here. Then I'm actually going to move over to screen share in a second. But when we look at WordPress, so for example, I can have this stack over here look at Google Analytics. It can look at Google Search Console, which will look at my traffic data. It will look at SEO data. This will also look at the Ahrefs MCP. Will look at all the keyword data that they have, what keywords are trending over time, the keyword difficulty, and then it'll craft a strategy on what I should go after. Hey, you should create these templated pages over here. You should do this. Okay, great. Well, I want you to look at my blog guidelines over here, and then I want you to create maybe 3 blog posts so I can evaluate them to see if they're actually good. And then maybe we can publish a couple of these drafts to WordPress, which is our CMS, and it can actually do that using the WordPress MCP. Or I can use browser base or to look at my competitors. Hey, how are they running ads right now? What is their ad strategy? How much are they spending a month right now? Okay, then I can look at my competitors and see how they're doing it, right? So I can go on and on here. I mean, you can look at your Facebook ads MCP, your Google ads MCP, and look at what's performing, double down, triple down, turn off accounts, turn off ads. But the sky's the limit here. I think the blocker for everyone is like, okay, Eric, this sounds amazing, but again, I'm not technical on how do I set this up? This is scary. And I felt like that in the very beginning. I'm like, dude, what do I do? Like, one, I don't want to fall behind, but two, like I don't really want to do this either. And that's like everything, right? The only thing that's certain in this world is uncertainty, and so you're probably better off embracing it. And I'll just say to you, like again, if and then I'll actually move over to screen share, and I'm happy to answer questions as I go, as I come off this full screen thing. But you know, it's the only option. You really have two options here. You either embrace this stuff, okay, or if you choose not to embrace it, eventually there'll be universal basic income for everyone, and I think everyone will do well. But that'll probably take 10 to 15 years or so. I don't want to wait 10 to 15 years of my life and be behind and be involved with chaos and see people losing their jobs and all that. I don't want to be caught up in that either. So what I do in my company is I push as hard as I can, and it still scares the crap out of people. And I can still see deer in the headlights, but some people actually embrace it. Okay. And those are the people that you want to teach the rest of your company. And there's some people who are going to resist. So I like to say that there's some people in your companies who are going to be fanatics. There's some people who are going to be converts, right? Converts meaning that they're open to this stuff, but they need direction, right? And as much as that kind of bothers me, that some people need, like in my mind, I'm like, man, we can only afford to hire high agency people. You're still going to have contingent of people. Majority of people are going to have to be led, and your fanatics are going to have to lead them. And then you're going to have people who are anchors, right? Anchors are people who are resistant to this, and they don't think AI is, oh my god, AI hallucinates, we can't use this. That it's just like excuse after excuse after excuse, and it's so obvious. And people think, when you're within a company, I guarantee you, just type it into chat right now. I'm curious to know how many of you know that you've identified who the anchors are in your company when it comes to this stuff. Okay. So these are people that are not open-minded when it comes to AI, and they're constantly making excuses with it. Just tell me how many people Is it 2 people? Is it 5 people? Is it 10 people? Or you can say 0, right? I'm just curious to know in chat, because I'm going to come off of this in a second. So yeah, I'm going to actually move into screen shares here, and now I can actually see your chats. So let me come off of this, and I'm going to go through a couple things that are actionable for you that you can execute on. I'm going to start with more. I'll probably start with more complicated first. Yeah, I'll start with more complicated first, and I'll kind of work towards making it more simple. And I'll also tell you how I've gone about implementing these as well. So those of you that are John says there are 0 people who are anchors in your company. That's amazing. And then Morgan says 0. And then Tom says 1 to many-ish. Our CTO 1 up to our sales team. Maybe I asked the question. I might have asked the question the wrong way here. So I really mean, how many people in your company are anchors, meaning that they don't want to do this stuff. They don't want to embrace AI. So I might have asked it in the wrong way here. So anyway, just to iterate, we have about 7 in a company of 60. So Adwin, when you say 7 in a company of 60, you mean 7 anchors, right? 7 people that are kind of resistant to this. Is that correct? Okay, cool. I mean, look, 7 out of 60. I mean, that's 11% who are resistant. And so I'm curious to know, Takara, anchor is a Luddite. I haven't seen that word used in quite a while. But Adwin, what are you doing? I'm just curious, and we'll come back to my screen share in a second. But what are you doing about the people who are anchors in your company? How are you guys approaching that? Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up Cursor because it's this nebulous thing. I'm going to try to simplify it. You guys continue to drop questions in there because I'm sure questions are going to come out. Kira, anchor is not a stabilizer. Anchor is someone that holds you back in this case. Imagine it's like you're not piloting a boat, but you're sailing a boat, okay? But the anchor's down right now. That means you can't move, okay? So anchors in your company, unfortunately, they ain't gonna last forever in this new world, and so and I'm sure you guys can identify them. Anyway, here we go. So I'm gonna share another screen. Maya, you tell me if there's any issues. I'm gonna switch my share here. So let's go to Cursor. 1 second. I want to make sure this works. Oh, you know what's interesting, Maya? So guys, we're using a new webinar tool, and it doesn't seem to want to let me share Cursor. Wow, that's really annoying. Okay. I'm going to share the entire screen, guys. Here we go. So Maya, can you come off mute real quick and let me know if you guys can see this?
We can see it.
Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. Thanks, Maya. So this is Cursor. Okay, let me just show you some of the things I can do. I'm going to show you how I make these agents, and I'm sure questions are going to spawn because I talk really quickly. So wherever I'm confusing or wherever you guys need clarification, just type it in the chat because I'm actually working on refining how I talk about this. Okay. Let me just show you what I can do so far. Okay, so you can see where my cursor is right now. No pun intended. Let's say I'm looking to hire, paid media people. Okay, so I want to find paid media people at companies with 100 to 1,500 people in the United States, agencies only. They must have at least 2 promotions at 2 separate agency companies. Start with 3. Use the recruiter, agent, sub-agent. Okay, that's a mouthful. Now, what has happened here is you can see it's using Claude 4 and it's kind of working through this. And it gave me a couple of people that it's identified. I'm not going to verify this right now, but it gave me 3 here. So it's a candidate 1, this person, Todd. Okay, high priority. VP multi-sales and digital marketing operations. This person's business development and paid specialist at Define Media. This person's a marketing director. So did it do the perfect job here? No, it didn't do the perfect job here. And this is where it's pulling from, I think it's pulling from the browser-based MCP where it's kind of scanning the internet. And so this is where I need to refine this prompt, right? And so you might be wondering, okay, what prompt is Eric talking about? So one, I need to fine tune this, and I need to refine this over time. And so I continue to talk to it, and then you can see it's gotten a little better. So like, look, paid media.
Eric,
go ahead.
The chat's wondering if you can make the screen view any larger.
No, this is as big as it can be. Well, okay, guys, I think you need to click expand. So in this webinar tool, there should be a little expand. Make this webinar full screen. That might solve the problem. Because Maya, like when it's just on my half screen, I can't see anything. So that's the only solution. Let's see if that solves it for anybody. But if they do that, they can't type anymore. So if they're silent, then that's good. So I'm going to keep going here. And then if it's if you guys can't see this, I might switch over into screen sharing the other tools. And then maybe I'll come back to this in a second. So what I have on my screen right now is I have cursor showing me, these paid media specialists as I'm working through it, right? And then these are a lot better now. Okay, so it's justifying based. What's that?
It's too small still.
Okay, so basically this webinar app sucks. So I'm gonna switch back to I'm gonna switch back to. I'm gonna show you guys Replit real quick. Then it's quite blurry, low res. Wow. Yeah, Maya, you definitely gotta. We'll have to give these guys feedback afterwards. Okay, cool. So okay, you guys can see this a lot better. Yes. And then Claude, I'll try to stop sharing my video for the next one, and we'll see how it goes. You guys can see this, right? Okay, cool. So everyone here has heard about vibe coding. I'm just curious in chat, if you've used Replit, type Y into chat, just the letter Y. If you've actually used Replit, type Y into chat. Just curious. Okay, so Valentina has used Replit. Valentina, I'm curious, what have you built using Replit? It looks like only one person right now. So one person out of 84 is actually pretty good. So I'm going to give you guys an example. So, okay, handful of you. So 4 or 5 of you. Okay. So type into chat, like what it is that you've built and is it actually in production right now? That's what I'm actually curious about. So one of our biggest problems right now at Single Grain is recruiting. So you saw what I was doing earlier. I was trying to recruit paid media people, right? Using the different sub-agent that we had. And I was just like, okay, well, I can do this in Cursor, but this doesn't make it where I can have my team using this. So Replit has the ability for me to make a Slack bot that allows them to query these MCPs. Or in this case, I made a little Slack agent called RecruitMate. Okay, and all I did is you see I'm working with it back and forth. I'm just typing to it. We need another API. Here's what I wanted to do. In the very beginning, I'm just like, here's what I want to do, and I just dictate it using an app called Super Whisper. And I probably talked for 5 to 10 minutes or so, and I just it spit it out there, and then it started to create the app, right? And then as we're working through it, it's like it gets stuck at places like it's like, okay, well, if you need me to source people, then we're gonna need to hook it in with the API. I'm like, okay, what API should we be using for that? And then we were trying different APIs, and we're just going back and forth with it. So now I don't need to pull developer or engineering resources. I can just do this. And I probably spent, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours on this over the weekend. And I said, okay, like I've tried different APIs. I tried Clay. Clay has like a huge data set that we can use, right? But then what happened? Oh, it ate all my credits on Clay and I had to go to Clay to get the credits back. So this is what you get when you're trying to figure this stuff out. And then I just hooked it back in with APIify, which is what we pay for, or Appify. And then when there's issues, I just take a screenshot of it. I'm like, hey, fix this over here. And then it just keeps working, right? But my point of showing you this is a playground, and I'm trying to run this over here. And if I just do like, find me 3 paid media managers in California, I'm going to see what the output is. I can test it in here before I push it to production. I can hit publish over here, hook in with my Slack. It'll tell me what to do where I'm getting stuck. But now I can do this stuff and I can hook in different MCPs. And what I'm going to do later today is I'm going to hook in all the MCPs you guys saw earlier. And my plan is to make this available for my team on Slack, where they can query questions on HubSpot. They can query questions regarding analytics or SEO. And we can even publish drafts, and then people can see if they like the draft or not. And then they can decide if they want to publish it directly from Slack. And so this to me is becoming much more of a video game. And this is one of the examples that you can do here. You can, even though you guys couldn't see what I was doing with Cursor, I'm now trying to take the Cursor situation, where it's a single player game where I can query all these different reports and then send the insights to my team. I'm now trying to make it a multiplayer game where we can ask a bunch of questions from within chat, and we're going to get insights faster, which means that we can take actions faster. And there's no more of this, oh, we're going to do it next week crap. Oh, it's going to take me 2 weeks. Oh, I'm just so overwhelmed right now. I'm so busy, right? All that stuff, it's as we do more and more of this, those excuses, people, I mean, the best people are always going to be busy, but it's just, there are always going to be people who make excuses that aren't really doing much. And that will be exposed by learning how to do this, right? And that's not to say we're here to try to eliminate people. We're here to just try to do our best work, and A players work best with A players, right? So that's what I'm very protective about at my company. So you can see it's kind of stuck here, but it was working previously. So then what I would do here, okay, I take a little screenshot, I drag it in. Hey, it's stuck. And then we'll see what happens here, right? But this is an example here with Replit, where I'm thinking about what are the highest leverage problems that I can solve right now for my business. And you guys should be thinking about that every day. Even what I do within ChatGPT, I'm like, when I'm working with it, I'm like, hey, rate how high leverage my day is 1 through 100, because I don't want to feel like a piece of crap, right? I want to work on the high leverage things every single day. I want to feel like I feel like I accomplished something by the end of each day. And then I list everything out. Sometimes it rates me like 70 out of 100, sometimes 80, sometimes 90. Sometimes they'll ask me clarifying questions. But I think everyone should be thinking about absolutely how should they be prioritizing their time to work on the best things that will yield the best return. And I guarantee you, if you're working for a company right now, if you can think like that and you're constantly going to your boss and saying, hey, I don't think we're working on the highest leverage things. Here's what I think we should be working on, back and forth. It doesn't matter if you don't get promoted at this company, because what matters is you're promoting your skills. And that is something that can never be taken away from you. Shout out to I think it's Warren Buffett over here, right? The best investment you're ever going to make is in yourself, which is what you guys are doing right now. So that's what it is. I'm going to read chat for a second, and I'm going to move over to something that's even easier to use than Replit. But I'll just tell you this. Literally, I was at the gym on Sunday, and in between sets, I was opening up Replit on my phone, and I was just constantly going back and forth with it, right, to make sure that it was kind of moving in the right direction. And one time I was in line to get a salad with my CTO, and I just opened up Replit and I was just doing stuff, right? So to me, this is exciting. So let me check out chat for a second, and while this thing fixes over here. So human Claude, same issue on other webinars showing similar screen. Okay, landing pages. I'm building a content marketing system. That's Joelle. Melanie's, I'm not sure if I'm butchering that. No production because it uses a tech stack different from the one I use. I prefer Bolt.new or Lovable. Those are great tools as well. I love them too. John Isaacson, live client KPI dashboards via Stripe and Woo API. Live on retainer with client. Okay, John, good job. And then Kira, here's a question. You once mentioned that you use Clay/Clayagent for recruiting. I played around with it after hearing your use case, and the credits go so fast. So Kira, I would say for Clay, this won't be a webinar on Clay, but I would just say that you want to make sure that you're optimizing your queries and you're really watching your tokens like a hawk, right? And I'll tell you this, even though I burned through all my tokens, it just like Replit burned through 24,000 tokens. I went to their support and then they gave me a refund of 12,000 tokens. Okay. So sometimes you just go to support and say you're testing stuff and they'll give you refunds for that. And then Adam, there will be a recording, I believe. And guys, as I was talking to you, I was just doing this, right? And it's restarting this. So I'm going to move over to another screen and we'll see if this addresses. But what I want to show you now is something even simpler. And I'm actually going to be talking to the CEO right after this webinar. Okay. And this interview will be posted to YouTube. So you guys might want to check that out, but let me adjust my screen share. And let me move it back over to this window. And I think this should work. You guys can see this, yes? Thumbs up. Yes. Okay, cool. Great. So this is interesting to me. So let me give you the output here. We have this daily stand-up accountability bot. And some of you might be thinking, oh my God, like, are you building like a police organization or something? No, I just want people to work on the highest leverage things. And I want there to be public accountability, at least within my organization, right? And so if we can all learn to help each other work on the highest leverage things, we're all going to get better. And when you have basically a database of this where every day, let's say Maya, for example, is filling out the top 3 things she did yesterday and the number 1 thing, the highest leverage thing she's working on today, and she's talking about wins and losses, you now have something that you can take all this entire export and you can figure out what the strengths and weaknesses are of your team when it comes to prioritization. Okay. So whether it's a smaller team that you're part of or it's a larger team, I personally think it's better to have a larger team doing this, but you can see like Sean, for example, his score was a 9 out of 10, right? Standout performance, building features that directly solve customer pain points and drive profitability, which is for our LinkedIn account-based marketing software, Carrot. And so, some people like right here. So let's see. Noted you're sick. Okay, great. Good priority. One of our clients over here, get always on remarketing launch to give boost to UMM pipeline before end of quarter. So this is a situation where she might be a little more task oriented, right? And so my point of showing you all this is what I literally did yesterday, because we've had the stand-up coaching bot going for about 4 months or so, is I took a Slack export of this channel and then I had it basically say, hey, you're the ultimate productivity, high performance coach. I want you to note what you think the strengths and weaknesses are. And it literally said this. It's like, Eric, you guys have a disease. I'm like, we have a disease. What's the disease? And they said our disease is you guys have a planning disease. Like you guys take forever to plan on things versus just taking action, right? And some people focus much more on tasks versus like high leverage things. And this is the leaderboard of the people over the last 3-4 months or so. And I look at this as a coaching opportunity. And my point of showing you all this is I'm going to show you how I built this, right? So this is using Lindy.ai. And this is the CEO that I'm talking to right after this call, right? And if you guys have some questions you'd like me to ask him, I'm happy to ask him. He's not paying me to say this. He's not paying me to do the podcast interview. I just want to talk to him to see what new workflows that he's built out and how he's using it as the founder of the company. So that might give me ideas on how I might use this, right? And so that will be shared to our YouTube. I didn't even tell Maya this. So Maya, this is happening. I'm interviewing more AI people. The Gamma CEO, the little PowerPoint presentation AI thing. I'm interviewing this guy. I'm just going to keep talking to people, and we're going to have even more content on my YouTube channel. Okay. So let me show you. This is one of the flows that you can use. And this is our daily stand-up accountability bot. Okay. So everyone fills out what the 3 things they worked on yesterday, the top thing for today, and any wins and losses or any blockers. Okay. So this runs on a recurring schedule every day at 2 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, because by 2 p.m., everyone should have filled it out by then. This bot will begin. So on a recurring schedule, this timer begins. Okay. Then what happens is it will collect the messages from the Coda Daily Stand-Up channel, which is what we have in our Slack, right? It's very simple to just look at what channel do I want to use? Okay, it's that channel over there. Okay, and then this is already prompted through AI, so this is plugged in. This is not that complex. This is no different than using a tool like Zapier, which has been around for over, I think it's got to be close to 15 years or so, right? Something like that. Now, this is where you work on the prompt, okay? So what I did was I literally, again, in my microphone, I just dictated what it is that I'm working on. I said, hey, for 5 to 10 minutes, I'm like, here's what I want to build. I want to have an accountability coach that helps our team prioritize high leverage activities to maximize impact for our customers and business, daily check-in requirements, all these things. I just basically spec things out inside of ChatGPT. So I dictated using Super Whisper, using a microphone. And then I said, ask me any clarifying questions before you create the perfect prompt for me to run this in an agentic workflow, something like that. Okay. So then it spits out this prompt over here, right? And it gives some examples as well. And I think I put something in here. You know, do not give the feedback to Eric Su, the founder. Okay, so because my whole thing is I want the team to get better at this, and I was filling this out in the beginning just to participate, but now it's gone to be a more self-fulfilling thing, and it's a cycle that completes. So my point of showing you all this is to one, think about all the problems that you're having right now. Make a list of all the things that annoy you within your business, not just marketing, but business as well. What is annoying to you? Okay. And then of all those annoying things, if you solved it, you just prioritize by impact, confidence, ease. Okay. ICE, right? So, each one rate 1 through 10, 1 through 10, 1 through 10. So if one of the priorities is a 10 out of 10 impact and your 10 out of 10 confidence that it's going to work, and the ease, it's 10 out of 10 easy to implement, that's a 30. Okay. So you go ahead and you do that. And then you just work down the priorities. And then you use these agentic workflows tools like you can use Lindy, you can use N8N, you can use Make, you can use Zapier, you can use any of these. They're fine. Right. You can create these agentic workflows. And then over time, what you do is you can continue to fine tune these, because this is very much V1 of what I created. But what I'm trying to do, like the point of this webinar, is to try to get your wheels turning. When you share this with other people, like, crap, I didn't think about it like that, right? A lot of this stuff is like, oh man, I didn't think about it like that. And then you can vibe code using Replit, you can use Lovable, you can use Bolt. And then if you want to get more sophisticated, if you want to get Cursor activated, I would just recommend that you go to Upwork, find someone who's technical and that knows how to use Cursor and help you with the setup, right? Just share this webinar with them and say, hey, I'm looking to do what this guy is doing, and then here's some specific things I want to do. I want you to help me set it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Zoom with you. I'm going to give you remote control where you can help me set this up. And once it's set up for you, it might take 3-4 hours to get going, and you're gonna have to think about the use cases. But after that, you're off into the races. And you look at this 3 to 4 hour investment as you just built a weapon that makes you a lot more efficient, at least for the next 12 months or so. Okay, so that 3 to 4 hours of investment, I think, is invaluable. And you can pay a tutor on Upwork. Maybe you're paying $50 an hour, $100 an hour, whatever it is exactly. Okay, great. You pay $400. Maybe you're even paying $800 to set this up. But if you're going to become 10x more effective and you're going to make decisions a lot faster, maybe even you're going to get up to 200x more effective, that's how you're going to do it. Okay. So I threw a lot of words at you guys. You guys are probably going to have to rewatch this because I'm talking really fast. But Stephanie says it's a little blurry, but better than my cursor screen share. And I think that's it. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go over to Replit in a second, but you guys can start asking questions because I'm going to move over to Q&A in a second. And I'll just tell you guys this. Any questions you have, whether it's for me or for the Flow CEO or whoever else you want to see me talk to, I think you've got to be absolutely obsessed about this right now. Let's say you're a marketing director, or let's say you're even a marketing intern right now. Your job is to go find the people that are motivated around this stuff right now. Maybe they're 1 level or 2 levels above you, and start connecting these people. Start to throw these little dinners, connect these people together. Hey, I've connected all these amazing people together. You just show up, I'll we can all chip in for the dinner, or maybe you can just pay for the dinner, whatever it is exactly. If you become the connector in this space, you're going to grow a lot faster, because iron sharpens iron. Like we have an AI founders dinner happening next week that I'm co-hosting, and it's extremely motivating to see what all these people are building. Okay. Anyway, let me move over to Replit, and you guys can start to drop your questions into chat. And then we'll go from there. So, okay, what did I do here? I just said, hey, this thing looks stuck. Okay, look, no response received. And I'm literally just going to do it again. I have no idea what it did over here. It explained what it did. I don't really care. Sometimes I'll read some of the things that it did. Okay, but let's try this again. Let's see if this works. And while we wait for it to work, because there's no guarantee it'll work again, we can open it up for questions. And first thing I'll cover here, you guys can drop your questions into chat, but add one here. says, been using Google AI Studio and it's been 80% as helpful as Cursor and Replit. I'm keen to know, actually, Edwin, how that's been useful for you. I will say that Google Nano Banana and VO3, we're actually plugging that into our account-based marketing product, Carrot, to help people make creatives and generate creatives at scale. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan all of LinkedIn's ad library, and we're going to see what ads have been hanging around for a long time, and we'll make variations of that to say, hey, these have been converting pretty well, and go from there. Oh, look at this. Look, guys, it works. Okay, so I just specced out, or I didn't spec. I literally just took a screenshot and say, hey, this is broken. Like, I wasn't even that helpful. Okay, so find me 3 paid media managers in California. Okay, let's see if this profile works, because this hallucinates quite a bit. So yes, it said that profile was private. Okay, now I just lost my results. Damn it. So anyway, but you guys saw how it worked, right? It justified and it scored each person, and now I can continue to work off of this, and then eventually I'm going to push it to Slack, where any hiring manager that needs a role, they can just start to find these people, or the people on the hiring, the talent team, they can just source these people, and then they can say, hey, like, Maya, what do you think about this person over here? Okay, great. Like, they can just calibrate in real time as this thing works, and they can continue to fine tune this, right? So hopefully the wheels are turning for you in terms of, yes, I showed you Cursor, you can play that single player, but you can even vibe code these little agents and have it become multiplayer, and then your team can get involved. What's ultimately going to happen is you are just going to make quality decisions a lot faster, and that means you'll hit your goals a lot faster. Okay, so Adwin question here. I'm going to stop my screen share now for real. So Adwin asked, for the Gamma CEO, one of the current limitations for Gamma is how templates are imported to get interpreted as is, the way the logos work, the way it interprets master slides, etc. Has still got some ways to go. So I'll ask about that. And then Kira asks, what communities do you recommend individuals tap into to connect with others excited about AI tools and system optimization? So Kira, I would say that I think when you look at communities like the Rundown, so I know this guy Rowan Chung, and he has a large AI newsletter. So I think he actually has a community in there as well. So I would check out what he has. There's a handful of these people that have these newsletters, and what ends up happening is they find that if in order to monetize better, they should create these communities, right? Whether it's a school group or something like that. And so that's what I would say. And I think, even going out to, I mean, it's a little unfair for me because I just hit my email list, or I'll just message people. But I do think, Kira, depending on where you are, so there's different groups out there. Like there's Chief, right? And if you're an entrepreneur, there's different groups out there like Hampton or EO or YPO, and they have AI subgroups in there. I think one thing is if you're putting yourself out there and you're showing the stuff that you're testing, what ends up happening is you start to form a community around you, and you share stuff like this, or you share stuff that you built. And you share it on LinkedIn, a community will form around you. So that's what I would say. So there's these groups you can go to, these email lists. You can sign up for the different communities that they have. And then I think everybody here should start to put out content on the stuff that they're building. It doesn't matter how embarrassing it is. Just share your journey. You might say, I don't have any content to create right now, but start to share your journey, and just document as you go. And thank you for that, Takara. The assist is doing great coaching focused on women. That's awesome. Chris asks, have you found a way to find prospects showing intent related to what you sell? Our ICP company is a 100 million to 2 billion revenue that is looking for EDI, especially IBM Sterling B2B I. So that's obviously very niche, Chris. What I would say is find a way to showing prospects intent data. There are a handful of tools that can do that. I will say though, there's a guy that we work with on the Clay side, and he focuses on setting up these Clay flows based on intent, and he does a really good job with it. His name is Michael Sarugia, Sarrugia. I'm butchering that, but he's known as the Clay operator on LinkedIn, and he's doing good work for us right now. He's actually helping us build different recruiter flows. And I think actually he has on his menu of services exactly what you're looking for. And I do know that, again, there's a handful of tools, but a lot of them are escaping my mind right now. But I do know that you can start with Clay, and Clay hooks in with a bunch of these different things. So Adwin says, replying to the question you mentioned, been using a Google AI Studio to create internal app prototypes that would typically be emails between departments. The best one so far has been a proposal builder for business directors without having to constantly check in with finance on rates, rate cards, etc. That's good. So the more we can focus on taking agency back into our own hands, the more our engineers will appreciate us. And I think what's going to happen with a lot of this vibe coded stuff, like the Replit thing that I showed you, is there will be a place you can go to where developers, you pay them maybe $500 to finish off the thing that you built. Maybe you got it like 85, 90% there and you can't finish off the rest. It'll do that for you. But I'm telling you, like, even with a Replit, like, I'm able to push to production. I can push to my Slack channels, and I'm not technical, so I can basically get it there, and I just run it through my developers to make sure that there's nothing that's broken. I would also encourage you all, if you're not technical like I am, just keep in mind when you set this stuff up, you have to take security into mind. So you should run it by your developers. Like yesterday, Sean was making fun of me. He's like, dude, like the way I have it set up is like I just YOLO it into the different, like into everything that I have, right? But you have to take security into mind, and if you don't, it's going to come back to bite you later. So just keep that in mind. Okay, Chris says, I found Bombara intent data via Apollo to not be useful to date. Yeah, I don't know. I would just say Clay to me has all they're partnered with all these data companies and intent data companies. That's why I love them so much. Just be careful in terms of how you use the credits. Cool. All right. So Maya, I don't know if we have another call to action we want to throw up, but I think when it comes to AI stuff, a lot of people now are coming up to us for like, hey, what do we do about answer engine optimization, or what do we do about AI transformation in general? So you can always just click on that if you want. That's my little soft pitch over there to check out what we're doing on the single brain side, or you can just look at how we're doing marketing, or how we're building care to different features, right? Because even how we're doing that now, we're just like, okay, how do we splinter out all the features we have? How do we collect as much data as we can? And then how do we make it where the future of LinkedIn ads or just account-based marketing in general, we're just going to give you some solutions based on the data that we see, and then we're just going to offer to solve it for you in one click. And that's where I think a lot of SaaS is going to go, because how I talked about Cursor, how I talked about Replit, we might not be logging into graphical user interfaces as much anymore. We're just going to be chatting quite a bit. At least that's what I see happening for the next 12 to 24 months or so. So hopefully you all found this helpful. And that being said, please share this with your team as well. I would encourage you to rewatch this, because there's just a lot of threads that you can pull on here, and maybe just start with one thing. Okay. And what I'll say is we're going to continue to do these webinars every 2 weeks or so. More stuff's coming on the YouTube channel, just leveling up with Eric Sue. And that being said, I hope you all have a good rest of your week, and I will catch you